Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar today, where we're going to talk about pathfinding in 2024. We want to help you set up successful goals, and we're going to focus on credentials today so that we can see if that maybe aligns with your goals for 2024. Joining me today are part of our team is Kim Coffey Jackson and Sterling Berlanga, and we're all going to just have a quick conversation about pathfinding. Don't forget to tell us where you're watching from. And don't forget to share us and like us so that we can reach other FMs in your industry or in any industry so that we can be sure to just help them along their journey as well.
Thanks so much for the introduction, Gail. I just want to go ahead and give a little bit of history about IFMA. If you're not familiar with us, we are the International Facility Management Association. We have been in the industry for over 40 years. We have 139 chapters in over 130 countries and are made up of over 24,000 members at this time. So we have such a great following. Please, if you haven't already, take a look at our membership and see the value there. Our mission is to lead the future of the built environment to make the world a better place. And that's really what you do on a day-to-day basis as a facility manager, is work to make your facilities better, which ultimately does make the world a better place. And we do this by advancing our collective knowledge, value, and growth for professionals such as yourselves to perform at the highest level. And some of that actually includes our IFMA training and credentials, which we're going to be diving in a little bit deeper today.
So I'm sure you're probably wondering what it takes to be successful in FM. Obviously, it's going to be skills, but we also want you to have that solid foundation in the fundamentals of FM. You should also probably have that determination to make an impact in your organization. Again, your data-driven decisions are what propel your organization to be the highest level performing organization in your industry. Also, having that passion for learning and staying up to date on industry trends is also something that we can't stress enough, because as things come out trend wise, we want to make sure that you're making sure that if it is a trend or should it be something that's implemented into your organization. Again, having a credential could definitely help you build your confidence and then again be able to make those data driven decisions for your organization.
All right, so we're going to be delving in a little bit deeper on the pathfinding. Now, you guys may recognize this particular slide. We feature it in almost every single presentation we do, but we wanted to really dig in today and talk a little bit more about the credentials offered. Please take a second, scan the QR code. That will take you to our career compass, which will give you a really great idea of where to begin. Now, today you will see the essentials to the FMP, to the core competency courses, the SFP and the CFM here. We're going to really delve in on the FMP, SFP, and CFM. If you have any questions about the essentials or IFMA's core competency courses, please reach out to us at corporateconnections@ifma.org. We're more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. We will be sharing a few details in this presentation, so feel free to ask questions as well, and we'll be happy to get to those at the end.
So one thing that I'd like to jump in and add, Starlin, is that, as you said, we're focusing on the credentials. The reason for that and the whole topic of our webinar today is how you can set achievable career milestone goals, and you can set them and then, of course, achieve them. And we're doing that with the credentials because these should be considered milestones. They are achievable, they are reachable, and are the focus of this conversation. So as we take you through this journey, if you do have questions, we've got folks in the background, Cassandra and Sonia, who are helping us to answer questions in real time. But you can always reach out to us here, as has been shared, at corporateconnections@ifma.org. We have a whole team ready to help you find what you need to do in your pathway here within facility management.
So facility managers are the backbone of modern infrastructure. So our ability to adapt, innovate, and lead successful organizations all comes from what our facility managers are doing. I love this picture because Any day of the week could be a very crazy day for a facility manager. So making that right decision could really help propel your organization. Again, lifelong learning. You should never just stop. You should always have that thirst for knowledge. And these credentials can definitely help you solidify that knowledge because most people do receive on the job training. This just helps solidify what you've learned. Maybe the reason why you're learning or doing certain things. Um, I think lifelong learning, you should always have something on the pipeline so that you can be just furthering yourself in facility management.
Gail, I think this also looks like probably the day in the life of an FM. There are a lot of different options, and sometimes you have to change and jump to another track in order to get a solution solved. And that's what training gives you. It gives you more of that knowledge base to pull from. So, this is about making decisions for your career, but you're also doing this every day.
So we'll kick off the credentials with the FMP. This is our foundational credential where we try to offer the most information for FMs that you use on a daily basis. You can see the 4 courses that comprise the FMP here on the screen: finance and business, operations and maintenance, project management, leadership and strategy. This is typically what FMs face on a day-to-day basis. And the goal here is to solidify your foundation. And maybe you've been in FM, we recommend for at least a year, but maybe you've been in FM for several years. This can fill knowledge gaps and give you a new way of looking at the things that you face on a day-to-day basis. So while you may be experienced in some of these areas, the FMP and all of the training is to help you learn how to think, not what to think. So we want you to have some really great ideas on how to handle situations. So this spreads across all different industries. It's designed to help really solidify and help you build a strong foundation for your facility management.
So, if we put it into terms about setting those achievable goals, Starlin's given you a great idea of who this is ideal for. And even those of you who have experience, if you have not had formalized training, because so many FMs do find their way into facility management without forethought, right? You kind of become that accidental FM. Going through the training can be your first goal that you set that is achievable, that would be a career milestone. And it sets that strong foundation, because as we continue talking, excuse me, you'll see that a strong foundation is just like a facility, right? It's going to allow you to layer in more knowledge and continue to add that knowledge for that lifelong learning experience.
We do have a quote that we would like to share from one of our FMP holders, Brent Ward. Again, with that on the job training, he found that he did do a lot of things that were associated with the 4 competencies of the FMP, but he also showed and shared that there are also process and strategies that I had never thought of, giving me a more balanced skill set. That is such a great quote because, again, you don't know what you don't know. And being able to fill those gaps in knowledge or just upskilling what you already know, that FMP is going to fill those gaps for you and help you make better decisions. If you already have that foundational knowledge, whether you've taken the FMP or you have that on the job training and you're looking to just fill in for those sustainable practices, the SFP is a really great second goal to achieve. It's going to be where strategy meets application. This is going to help you learn how to better organize those strategic I just lost my train of thought. Sorry, guys. It's going to help you just be able to apply those sustainable practices to what you already probably do. A lot of people have already chosen changing out the light bulbs. I know we mentioned this on a lot of our webinars, but there are so many other things that need to be looked at so that we can start to slowly decrease our carbon footprints so that we can, be around the earth a little bit longer. So this is set up similar to the FMP as far as being a lifelong credential. We provide you the information that you need to get through the material. The SFP is going to talk about waste management, energy, different things that you can implement into what things that you're already doing for your organization.
Well, and Gail, I would
Well,
say
and
too,
oh, sorry, go ahead,
oh, I'm
Kim.
sorry, Starlin. I was just really into what Gail was saying, and it allows them to take things up to the next level and have those projects. Um, when you are challenged to do more with less, but you also want to incorporate sustainability in any type of facility, this is what the SFP does. The FMP and the SFP, they are training programs. So it is information and knowledge that you can apply in your job today. And Starlin, I'm gonna hand it back over to you again. When Gail was talking about things you may already be doing, this is taking it up
Mhm.
to that next level.
Absolutely. So I just was noticing, it talks about emerging trends, and you can look. Just take a quick Google. If you look at FM trends for 2024, sustainability is on every single list that I have found. It is a huge thing. The government and most U.S. states, as well as governments across in the UK and every single country, seems to be really leaning towards creating more sustainable practices as well as goals. And companies are having to start doing reporting and different things. And our SFP is really created to help you along the way to become that expert in sustainability for your company so that you can provide information to your entire organization on how to meet these goals and align with the initiatives out there.
And just as Starlin said, you become the expert. However, there should not be one expert per company. When we talk about training, and you'll see there's a lot of benefits to it. Part of it is you start working collectively better with your team. If you have a common background, a common language, a common um, goal and target that you want to reach, if you're the only one that understands the sustainability, you're going to be spending a lot of your time trying to get other people to understand what you've learned and the impact that it can have. If your whole team goes through that training and everybody understands the impact that your decisions make, FMs, we like to call you guys agents of change because you are. This is where you can drive change at a facility and a company level like no other group because you're making decisions about what products to purchase, what to use, what to stock. And this is where, when you understand a lot of what's happening about your carbon footprint, about the way that the products interact with the environment, you really start to make those changes at a global scale. And it's amazing. And this is where FM truly, you guys are the agents of change and where we're going to see the biggest impact on our globe.
So, Miles' friend, who recently he's an FMP as well as an SFP, I think it's really great. He shared, "I wish I had signed up for this program sooner. A majority of the material is directly related to challenges being faced currently, and it helped answer a lot of questions that you may have on a day-to-day basis." He has a much more defined path and methodology to sustainability initiatives. So, as I mentioned, there are a lot of initiatives out there that you're already working on. Let us help you. With this credential, he says he believes it will make a strong, positive impact on the company's triple bottom line, and that is huge.
Exactly, because I think all three of us can speak to what we hear all of the time, and but you may be thinking, okay, sure, but you work for IFMA, you're IFMA staff. That's what you're going to have to say. And I will say I've been with IFMA for over 21 years, and I truly know, because of people that I've talked to who are the practitioners going through this, training really does it. It makes an impact. It makes an impact on your individual career, but it makes an impact on your company, and then also the people that work with you. It just can really change how you're able to move forward. And as you advance in your career, the profession of FM advances. And that's really what we're here to do. And having somebody else tell you that Miles is doing what you do. And having this statement from him, which by the way was not paid for, it really does tell you, don't procrastinate, don't put it off. Go ahead and dive into the training, because this is where you're going to be able to turn what you may think of as a job into a profession and into a career, because you're going to get so much satisfaction from what you do and the difference that you make.
Nicely said.
Thanks.
For those of
I
you
do. I
looking,
believe in
oh,
it.
yeah,
I believe in this, Gail.
absolutely. For those of you who are looking for a certification, the CFM is going to be where you should start. Or maybe this is just along your journey and you've already earned your FMP and or SFP. Add this to your repertoire. The CFM is going to be a little bit different from the first two. This one will require, or I'm sorry, this one will have eligibility requirements that must be met in order to sit for the exam. This is a proctored exam where the other two trainings are not proctored and they're not just an exam to earn those credentials. So there is no zero, I'm sorry, there is zero coursework required in order to earn your CFM, but we do have training materials and study materials available for those who feel that they need to prepare prior to sitting for that exam. If you have questions about eligibility, please feel free to reach out to our credentials team. They will be available to help answer those. If you have any type of question, they're there to help. There is a little bullet point that says titles don't matter, the work on your resume does. We can't drive this home hard enough. It doesn't matter what your title is, it's going to be based on your knowledge and experience if you are eligible to sit for this exam. And then we
All
do
right.
have
And
a, oh,
hearing
go ahead.
I was just going to go ahead since you covered that so beautifully. This is a quote from one of our CFMs. Obtaining the CFM designation has been a game changer, completing my extensive 16-year professional journey. So the CFM is one of our pinnacle achievements. It is a certification, and it is something that you do have to renew every 3 years. And there are activities associated with being able to renew. But he shares that it goes beyond a credential. It signifies a commitment to perpetual learning and elevating professional standards. Um, he wholeheartedly encourages everyone to embrace IFMA's transformative journey. It's not just about credentials, and that's going back to the lifelong learning that we were talking about at the beginning of this presentation. It's about investing in your ability to thrive, evolve, and seize new opportunities in the dynamic field of FM, because the field of FM is dynamic, ever changing, and you know that from what you face on a day to day basis.
So if you're unsure where you fall, if you're unsure of where you are for the CFM and those 11 competencies that the CFM covers, we do have a self-assessment tool available to just better help you gauge where you might need to fill gaps in knowledge. Maybe you do operations and maintenance every day, so maybe that's not a competency that you need to just firm up, but maybe real estate you don't do every day. We do have that, all of those 11 competencies listed as individual courses, or depending on where you are, we can help bundle those for you. But we did want to just show that pathfinding slide one more time so that you can see maybe where you fall and what we can do to help you.
Yeah, so you'll notice this is the second kind of tool that we're giving you to find out where you fall in the pathway. The self-assessment tool here is truly in depth on all 11 competencies. I would say if you're fairly new, maybe within the first year to 2 years, I would recommend the FMP, which is probably what the Career Compass would recommend. The self-assessment tool may be a little bit in depth, because you may find that there's more of those topics that you would say, "Oh, I don't know about this one. I don't know about this one." But if you've been in the FM arena for a while, you've worked at facilities, you've got a lot of knowledge, there is a lot of value to on the job training. So this would be something really valuable to get involved in. If you're an IFMA member, it's $25. So that's probably what, less than going to a movie and getting some popcorn and Coke. So invest in yourself, set this as a goal. You can achieve it very easily, and then you can determine, where do you want to go? Do you want to fill in some gaps first, or are you ready to send in, see if you're eligible, and make achieving your CFM your goal, a very achievable goal for you this year?
And so, with all of the different credentials, we do have guides available to help prepare and go through the different credentials available. I do want to say, just right off the cuff, we have online resources available. When you enroll in any of the FMP or the SFP, you will get online access to courses. We do have hard copy books available, as well as virtual courses to go along with these two credentials. For the CFM, we do have preparatory resources such as the 7 core competencies, which also have hard copy as well as virtual courses available as well. So if you have any questions about that, please reach out to our Corporate Connections team, corporateconnections@ifma.org.
So we did want to let everybody know that IFMA is ANAB accredited. Yes, our credentials are globally recognized, but we do get to kind of be above the standard because we are accredited. Whenever you are looking for training, you want to make sure that they do have some type of way to confirm that they're being reviewed by a third party, and that's how we are able to do that for our credentials. This protects the integrity and value of IFMA and our reputation to have a third party come in and ensure that everything that is covered in the course materials is what you're tested on, and that it's across the board the same. That nobody is getting special treatment or reviewing anything online. Everything we make sure, and we try really hard to ensure that that is not the case.
Well, and that's why, too, Gail, why we have policies that we have to uphold. For example, if you do not recertify your CFM, you can no longer say that you are a CFM, and you will have to retake the CFM exam and pass it in order to be a CFM again. And it is because of this accreditation. It does protect the integrity, but it also means this is why there are policies and procedures that IFMA upholds, because if you earn your FMP 5 years ago, you want to know that today the FMP is just as solid, and it means the same thing as it did 5 years ago, and it will in 5 years in the future. And so, as you're reviewing, we know that you have the choice of what type of training and who you want to take that training with. We encourage you to check to see if that training provider is accredited, because it does provide that level of integrity as well as oversight to ensure that the training organization, that credentialing organization, is being held to a high standard.
So we wanted to touch a little bit on groups, because some companies have, 1 to 2 individuals running them as a facility manager, but a lot of companies have teams, and you know there is succession planning and different things to take into account. So we do offer group training. It does not have to be all one credential. It is something that you can mix and match. And actually, Gail and I are more than happy to chat with you if you want to reach out to us directly, or again, Corporate Connections, you can get us there as well. But it definitely helps you avoid tunnel vision, having outdated skills and knowledge. You've got people that you have coming up underneath you that you can have trained and ready to go and start moving up the pathway, just as yourself. So setting goals not only for yourself, but also as a team.
We actually took a poll, and we have questions from our audience that we would like to share some of the answers for, so that we can help just better get those questions answered. So what's the difference between the FMP and the CFM?
And we get this question all the time, almost daily, I think, because the FMP, as we mentioned, it is a credential and the CFM is as well. But as we have mentioned in this presentation, the CFM is a certification. You go, you sit down in a proctored exam, take it, pass or fail. If you pass it, you become a certified facility manager, and it is a certification you have to renew every 3 years. The FMP, on the other hand, is training courses that you take and pass the final assessment at the end of each course. Once you complete all 4 courses, you obtain the FMP credential, and that is a lifelong credential that you can have behind your name. While with the CFM, if you don't renew, you can no longer have that credential behind your name. So FMP is very much foundational. The CFM is much more on the expertise level of your experience, and you do have to meet eligibility requirements. Is there anything I missed?
I would just say, and this is probably just using different words and meaning the same of what you had shared. The FMP is training. You will read IFMA's curriculum and you will answer questions based on that curriculum so that we can know that you comprehended the information. So FMP is training. The CFM is basically us asking questions that you should be able to answer because of your knowledge and your experience. There is no specific content created that these questions are based on. They're situational questions, and your expertise and experience will help you answer them. So I would say, Starlin, you did a great job, but if people really want to dive into it, those are the main differences between the two. Next question. Here we go. Ladies, does IFMA offer industry specific credentials?
So we focus more on the actual FM and how they relate to their industry. We do have specific, we're going to call them short form courses. They're not really, they're just short trainings that you can learn more about, say, cybersecurity, or if you're looking again for like quick sustainable practices that you can just start delving into sustainability. So they're not really industry specific, but they're going to be more towards what you do as an FM as a whole.
Exactly. And that's what makes our credentials portable. Sorry, Starlin, you may have been going in this direction. No? So if you work at an airport and you earn your FMP, the information you learn in the FMP program, you can go and work at an academic facility, a research and development facility. It's focusing on the actual tasks that you're doing as an FM versus the specific industry that your facility supports. And there's nothing wrong with getting credentials within those specific industries. But for IFMA, we focus on the facility management profession versus a specific industry that that facility supports.
And I just wanted to add a little just kind of plug for our membership, because we do have different sectors of membership, and there are industry specific. Is it councils that is the industry specific, Kim?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes. So the councils are the industry specific groups that we have, where you can actually network with other FMs within your industry and apply the things that you're learning through the FMP if you're already a CFM, but you can see how it's being applied within your industry and connect with others to basically get the most out of your training and see how it's being implemented within your industry, if that's something that you are interested in.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Learning is not just on the job. It's not just IFMA's training. It's learning from your peers. That's so critical. And so by being a part of an association, it's for that networking. It's for those connections that you can build on in a specific industry, or if you want to meet others who do what you do or similar, and you want to have those in-person meetings, then you can join a chapter. So that's a great point, Starlin. Thank you for bringing that up.
So how do I go from entry level to leadership roles in FM?
That's a great question, and we've touched on it a lot today with our pathfinding. As you can see on the slides where we have them listed out in order, we have everything from the essentials of FM, which is for the very beginning of FM. You've just started, or maybe you have an adjacent role, and then you can move up the FMP, and then add on the 7 core competencies on top of that to go towards covering all 11 for the CFM, and then also delve into the SFP. I see a lot of questions about, I'm already a CFM, what do I do now? The SFP, if you haven't already gotten it, yes, there is a sustainability um, competency involved in the CFM, but the SFP really dives in. And so I think that we have a little bit for everyone. And so you can go from entry level to the essentials all the way up to the CFM and just really plan out your goals for the next year, 5 years, 10 years down the road as to how you want to move through the training that IFMA can offer to help you reach your goals.
I'd like to add a little bit to that as well. I know we mentioned membership already. By joining one of our networking groups, whether it's a chapter or a council, and we even have communities that are based on specific topics. So if technology is your area of interest, we have an information technology community. A great way to build leadership abilities is to volunteer within a committee or even at a leadership role within either one of those networking groups. It gives you experience, it helps you become more comfortable with speaking, and it really helps to translate that into what you're doing. And I think a lot of us, when you step outside of your comfort zone and you start becoming a little bit more involved and mentoring people or having that leadership role, that will translate into what you do at your work. And so the confidence that a credential can give you, the leadership experience in membership by being a volunteer leader, all of that will translate. So that's my piece of advice to you is it's not going to happen overnight, but what you put into yourself, you will see a return on your investment. So, if I can give you a piece of advice, facility management professionals, you guys do everything for everybody else. Please make sure that you're taking care of yourself. It will make you a better FM and a better leader as well.
Which that's a
Okay,
perfect
what advice
segue
would you?
into our oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, what advice would you give to people whose job includes aspects of FM? So it's aspects of FM, not like full FM. And I think I briefly touched on it. If you're just curious about FM, or maybe you're in charge of an FM, but you're not really sure what they do. You work alongside an FM and you just need to understand the role a little bit better and what all that entails. Our Essentials program is specifically designed for people such as yourselves. We really want to touch on the basics so that you can have a really good understanding. We go through 3 different sections with 10 modules. It is not something that is crazy to implement into your day to day. It's usually 1 to 3 hours per module, and you can move through that, and that will give you a better understanding of what FM is. And we really encourage people to take a look into the essentials if it's something that you're just kind of getting started out or you are adjacent to the FM role.
I'd also like to add that if you're unsure if maybe you do more than what you think you do, and you are doing project management in that FM sense, or maybe you are operating and maintaining chillers for your job, we also have that survey. Go back to the Career Compass, fill out that quick survey. Somebody from our team is going to reach out to you just to confirm this, and this, and let's have a conversation. We will help guide you to make sure that we aren't putting you in something that is too advanced for you or maybe too remedial for you. That's our job here, is to help make sure that you are, I'm going to say, placed in the right training so that you're not wasting your time. And here's
All
our
right, and the
favorite.
fun part. Go ahead, Gail.
Oh, our favorite part is we wanted to share a little bit of discount for you for joining us today. If you are looking at those core competency courses or the Essentials of FM series, we'd like for you to take advantage of a $50 coupon. When you go to checkout, just put in that FM training 50 and that will apply that discount. If you're looking for the FMP SFP, or those 7 core course competency bundle. That was a mouthful. Please use the FM Training 100 to take $100 off your training. These are going to be good through February 29th.
Yes, thank you guys so much for being here today. And just what's coming up on the horizon, we have Hacking the FMP next month on March 28th, and then Sustainability Training Options here at IFMA on April 18th. I know we've gone over the credentials, but we're going to dive into both the FMP and the sustainability options, including the SFP, a little bit deeper. So if you have any specific questions, we welcome you to come back and see us again. I do think we're going to take a little bit of time now to answer some of the questions that we've gotten along this presentation. So let's see what we may have.
Okay, team, I'm going through and I'm looking at them. There were a couple of ones that I definitely wanted to highlight. First of all, let's start off with something that's really positive, and we appreciate this feedback, Christopher, that credentials have really broadened his knowledge to think globally, and it was one of the best moves he's made. Thank you so much, Christopher. That is why we have these webinars, so that we can bring this message to you so that you can understand a little bit more from practitioners about how to advance and move forward within your career. There's a question here about providing further details or additional information on the training materials for the FMP. Gail or Starlin?
Sure. So when you are enrolled into the FMP or any of our training, we do offer what we call a flip book and a downloadable PDF. So the flip book is going to be a little bit more interactive. It's going to have those chapter quizzes, chapter tests sprinkled throughout. So that way they're checking to make sure that you're understanding the concepts that were previously discussed. If maybe you don't do so hot on a chapter quiz or a chapter test, that should prompt you to go back in, read through that material again, because most likely some of that information will be on that final assessment. If you are reading through the downloadable PDF, that's where we allow you to read on your tablet, read on your phone, read anything away from your computer, because I'm sure you spend a lot of time behind that from day to day. So we do try to make that more flexible for you as well. Maybe you are an old school student like myself. I'd rather be able to highlight, make notes as I read. We do also have the optional hard copy prints books available if that's what you would prefer.
I think that's a great overview of the training materials. Starlin, did you want to add something?
Well, the only thing that I was thinking of was if by any chance you need help along the way, we also have a study guide available where it can help you map out your time. The hardest thing that FM seem to, to have once they get into a training is finding the time. And we always encourage people to set meetings, and we actually have a guide that has plans for 4, 8, and 12 months completion time for the FMP. So it helps you go through and plan out throughout your weeks and months exactly what you're going to try to tackle in that time frame. Set a meeting on your calendar, block out that time so you can tackle your training. So that's another resource that we have available, as well as our virtual courses. And I know we mentioned them during the presentation. Sometimes people need accountability partners, and we have virtual ones available. So definitely, if it's something that interests you, you can reach out to us and we'll be happy to give you more information on the virtual courses available.
Again, this is about setting achievable goals. And once you set the goal to achieve an IFMA credential, break it down into bite-sized pieces, but do start it. Procrastination is nobody's friend. So ladies, I do want to jump to another comment or question. and I'd like to address this. If the country I reside in already has a body which was accredited by IFMA, certified by that body, will it be recognized globally too? IFMA Global is the only crediting body or credentialing body. I think that this is a question from something that was done many years back. I do want to just be very clear. The only way to become credentialed by IFMA is in one of the three areas that we've talked about, the FMP, the SFP, and the CFM. The only way to achieve those credentials is if IFMA Global provides that to you. There is a roster that you can reach on ifma.org if you need to check somebody's status as an FMP, an SFP, or a CFM, and that is the record that you go to. Everybody has a license number, and that's where you can verify that. So, Lim, I really appreciate that question because you've got to beware. There are some misleading websites. There are companies that are wanting to kind of cash in on the global recognition that IFMA credentials have, and it could be misleading. There is no other organization that has been accredited by IFMA to extend these credentials. And if you can share, Lim, with us if there's something that you've seen recently, if you can send that to corporateconnections@ifma.org. We would be happy to take a look into that. But IFMA is the credentialing body for the FMP, SFP, and CFM. So again, thank you so much for bringing that to our attention and asking that. That's why I wanted to be sure to address that.
Thank you, Kim. All right. I think we're pretty much at time. I just want to say once again, thank you everybody for joining us today. Oh, there's one more question. Sorry, Kim.
I
We
popped
can
it in
answer
there.
this last question and then we're going to take off for the day. But if you have other questions, maybe we didn't get to your question, please reach out to us at corporateconnections@ifma.org. We do want to connect with you and make sure that all of your questions get answered. But Kim, I'll go ahead and let you take this one.
Okay, Mohammed, thank you so much for putting this in there. 13 years of experience is a lot of great knowledge that I know you already have. I very much encourage you to please do go to the self-assessment tool. It's a small investment and it will help you to be able to see where your knowledge is and if there are any gaps that you might want to fill in. So I would look at that before you invest in any training, because based on 13 years of experience, you may be eligible and ready to go ahead and sit for the CFM exam and begin that next step in your career. So please do go into the self-assessment tool. I think that's going to be a great place for you to start that journey to your CFM. Ladies, it's been a pleasure.
Always.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.